He went back home.
Greetings. I am Brother Sylvester Muhammad, and this is my wife.
Sister Sandra Muhammad.
And we are amongst the many followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his representation of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Today, on the timeline of the original man, wow, let's run through where we've come from. 7 to 8 trillion years ago, okay? God created himself and his second self, the woman. Brother, if you ain't got one, you can't be God unless you got your God in the form of the female, the second self of God, okay?
Right.
Thank you. Now, the sun was created after the woman. Then the stars. 6 trillion years ago, the moon. Original man, know thyself, 50,000 years ago. 2 stars appear. Those 2 stars are present today with the presence of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. 35,000 years ago, Buddhism. 16,000, the Native Americans. We've been through all of that, and now we at the 6,000-year timeline of the making of devil. But what you're going to find is what we just found out in the readings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan is how powerful. In fact, the 6,000-year timeline, in closing the gap, Minister Farrakhan tell us to reverse it.
That's right.
Well, Yaqub at 30% made devil, all right? Now we at 100%.
All right.
And he, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with the coming of Master Farad Muhammad, is making gods.
Right.
And we're going to get into the passing of that baton from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad into the hands of his minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And while we're at it, let me say this. You said, you talk about Elijah Muhammad. Well, we're going to let you know that we don't follow a dead Elijah. He lives, okay? We'll get into that as we move forward. So now my wife is going to be reading from Message to the Black Man, page 121. You can start when you're ready, baby.
Okay. All right. Message to the Black Man, page 121. Okay, and it reads, the devils were given the knowledge and power to bring every living thing, regardless of its kind of life, into subjection. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And God said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. Genesis 1:26 through 28.
Okay, again, the Caucasian, after coming from his humble beginnings, you know, after we sent him Musa to bring him out of the cave of Europe and prepare him for his destiny. He came out humbly, but he eventually resulted to his nature. But that's his right. That's his birthright. So he became the first ruler after Yaqub made him the Caucasian from the original germ of the original man, the brown germ.
That's right.
Read on.
Okay, it says, the above was all necessary if the devils were to rule as a god of the world.
A god of the world.
They must conquer and bring into subjection all life upon the earth. Not land life alone, but they must subdue the sea and the like therein. Master everything.
Wow.
Until a greater master of God comes.
Master everything until a greater
Master
comes.
Master of God comes.
Master God comes. In comes
That's right.
July 4th, 1930. Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad making his presence known. In September 31, finding that one, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The greater one, the Master.
That's right. Which would mean the end of their power over the life of the earth.
Wow. The end of their power over the life of our earth. Sorry, white folks.
Okay, it says on page 122.
Page 122.
Are you with me to do the will of God or the will of the devil and the disbelieving people? I know you are, for you have learned and are learning more truth than you have ever read or ever will read.
Come on. Never has there been this much truth on our planet because of Satan's given right to rule.
That's right.
Read on.
Fear not. Allah is on our side to give you and me the kingdom.
To give you and me the kingdom. He's on our side. All you have to do is get with the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you too can be a part of those who are of the chosen.
That's right.
And I know you might think, okay, you can go to Closing the Gap. But let me say this. I know you all might think, if you are hearing this for the first time or don't believe like we believe, you might think, well, what is he talking about? But I'm going to say it like this. Christopher Columbus, at the time, no one believed him. They thought the planet was flat based on the horizon. They would see the sun sitting here and he saw the water, so they figured if you go too far in the water, you fall. They didn't believe. But that's another story for another time when we get on his timeline of the original man, Columbus. Half original man, Columbus.
That's right.
Read on, baby.
Okay, this is Closing That Gap.
Closing the Gap.
That's right. Also, too, this is Closing the Gap by Brother Jabril Muhammad, and he's doing an interview with Minister Farrakhan.
Yes, an interview with Minister Farrakhan. But the first words you're going to hear is Brother Jabril talk. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is giving him some information, but he said, I forgot it. But he remembered only one aspect that was to be delivered to the right man at the right time. Read on, baby.
Okay, it says on page 285, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's word to me in May 1966 that were one of the factors that led to this interview that I shared with Minister Farrakhan. When the tape was off, Master Fard Muhammad took me into the mind of Yaqub and showed me, and when he said the tape was off, Brother Jabril said he had cut the tape off when he was first started speaking.
Yes.
And so now he's cut the tape back on.
Yes.
And then it's going into that. Okay. Master Fard Muhammad took me into the mind of Yaqub.
Now this is Brother Jabril being told by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he was taken by Master Fard Muhammad into the mind of Yaqub.
That's right.
And even the first God, as we're going to read on. Please.
That's right. And showed me how the idea of devil arose in his mind.
In his mind. Yaqub.
And then, of recent, brother, he took me into the mind of the first God.
The first God. 7-8 trillion years ago. Come on, baby.
And showed me how the idea of universe arose in his mind.
In his mind.
Minister Farrakhan responded, it seemed to me that what he said to you, that you could not remember anything else, but that was to stay in your mind for a reason.
For a reason.
It's because we are at the time when those two gods and the way the ideas arose in their minds is necessary to understand, because we're now at the time of the God who is going to make all things new.
We're now in the time of the God that is going to make all things new. So out with Mr. Yaqub. He had 6,000 years. He's done it. Right. Okay, his time was up in 1914, but Master Fard Muhammad made his presence known July 4th, 1930. Now we're going into the new world order.
That's right.
Come on, buddy, go on, read, please.
Okay, it says he wanted his chief helper upon whose shoulders he's going to put all power to know how that idea arose in the mind of the originator of the heavens and the earth, and how the idea of devil arose in the mind of Yaqub. Because now we are the new Yaqub, and the Yaqub's history is for us to study how to make a God but it's the reverse of how you make a devil.
How you make a devil. Now, we got to read. You got to go to Isaiah on this one, girl.
Okay.
Okay, Isaiah. But let me hold that for you. I'm going to hold it right there. Just keep that. Go to the book of Isaiah, because he mentioned that he's going to put his chief helper was going to be given this job upon his shoulders.
That's right.
See, we are in the end time. Minister Farrakhan said before you read, doing the criterion, which is the standard, that no prophet can be considered a prophet until what he prophesied about has been fulfilled.
Right.
He said, I am the master. Farrakhan, the criterion, the standard. I am the master of the prophets. Now we're going to deal with prophet Isaiah. Come on, baby.
Okay, number 6, it says, for unto us a child is born.
Yes.
Unto us a son is given.
Yes.
And the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God.
Yes.
The Everlasting Father, the Prince
The
of
Prince
Peace.
of Peace.
Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever.
Okay, his chief helper.
Yeah.
The job would be upon his shoulder. Okay, the criterion, the standard. That the minister is the master of all the prophets' prediction. I know you don't want to believe it, but like I said, they didn't believe the planet was round either.
That's right.
They didn't believe it was round. Okay, and he called himself, as it went down in history, a new world. But I'm sorry, no. He didn't bring in the new world. What you're witnessing with the presence of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who's alive and well,
That's right.
is the bringing in of that new government that is on his shoulders.
That's right.
Please read.
Yes. Okay, it says, you begin making devil by
Hold
going...
on. Read that again. Go back up there. See, we got to.
Which one? The same one you begin?
Yeah.
Or the one above it?
The one above.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. 'Cause I went into Isaiah. But
Okay.
yeah.
It said he
Please
wanted,
listen. Please listen.
He wanted his chief helper.
His chief helper.
Yes, upon whose shoulders he's going to put all powers.
All powers.
That's right, to know how that idea arose in the mind of the originator of the heavens and the earth.
Wow.
And how the idea of devil arose in the mind of Yaqub. Because now we are the new Yaqub.
Okay. Hold it right there. He wanted his chief helper. Now, Brother Jabril forgot most of the interview that he was talking about, or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad dropped on him in 1966.
Right.
But that part about the new ruler, Yaqub, and the making of devil and how to make God, he didn't forget that.
Right.
Because he was to deliver it to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the continuation or the representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Continue.
Right. And it says, and the Yaqub's history is for us to study how to make a God, but it's the reverse of how you make devil.
Yaqub's history is the reverse of how to what?
It's the reverse of how to make devil.
Of how to make devil. But it's also the blueprint for how you're gonna make a God.
That's it.
It's all in reverse.
That's right. It says you begin making devil by going among the dissatisfied.
The dissatisfied. That's what Yaqub did.
That's right.
30%.
That's right.
Dissatisfaction with doing what was right. Come on, baby.
You begin by telling lies. You begin by making your laborers liars and then murderers.
Then murderers.
Over time, the lie and the murder can be birthed into the nature of the people that you're making.
The lie and the murderer can be birthed into the people that you're making.
Into the nature of the people
into the nature of the people that you're making. See, Yaqub was born with a determined idea. You got to understand that. He knew. I mean, at 4 years old, he told his uncle that he was going to make something, and the uncle said, what are you going to make except something that will cause mischief and cause the shedding of blood? And Yaqub just let him know, I know what you know not. Now listen to what Minister Farrakhan said during the criteria.
Okay.
On his way out, the minister said that he's read it plenty of times, but on the way out to represent the criteria, he said, I never understood it like I understood it now, like I understand it now.
That's right.
He said that God is going to make a ruler, the reverse. Not one of evil, but one of righteousness.
That's right.
And that's why this picture, the criteria, you see the political people behind Minister Farrakhan on the right and the religious people behind him on the left. He is that new ruler. We're going to get into his identity if we make it that far today.
Right.
Down into Michael.
Yeah,
But
he was 6.
he was 6 years old when he went to school at 4, but he was 6 years old when he told his uncle what he was going to do.
That's right.
Come on, baby.
Okay, let me read this again.
Thank you.
Over time, the lie.
See, that's why you need a wife. She keep you balanced.
I try.
You get a little, as men, we get a little emotion. We get carried away with ourselves, but she can bring us back.
Over time, the lie and the murder can be birthed into the nature of the people that you're making. So that's what a devil is.
That's what a devil
He's
is.
a liar and a murderer and an opponent of the God of truth and life.
Liar, murderer, opponent of the God of truth
Yes.
and righteousness.
That's right.
Opponent. Go on.
Now you're going to make a God. So you reverse the process.
Reverse it.
That's right.
Wow.
But
Come
you
on.
start with the same group.
The same group.
The dissatisfied, so you find among them those most willing to suffer for the sake of change. Then you start by telling them the truth, which gives them life, spiritual and physical.
Wow.
Then the more they love the truth, the love the life that truth dictates.
Come on.
They become the willing participants.
The willing
in
participants.
the making of a people that will bring into existence the new heaven, the new
The
earth,
new earth.
their whole new civilization.
100% dissatisfaction.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's back to the original man. Know thyself. 50,000 years ago, the tribe of Shabazz going down into the jungles of Africa. The right material being taken on a westerly course. And then being purified up under this beast.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because as he said, it's the same people. Dissatisfied people
Dissatisfied
on the planet
people on the
today.
planet.
But the dissatisfied, on one hand, the dissatisfied, they are dealing on the wicked side.
Yeah.
And then the dissatisfied, on the other side, you look at it, they take on the truth. And
Yeah.
when they hear the truth, they love the truth so much that they want God instead of Satan. So they study and study and study as much as they can of God's wisdom, and then they are more like God, and they are becoming gods.
They're more like God and they're becoming God. Let me just do a testimony here. I'm going to do a witness. Okay, a testimony. Now, I graduated from high school, but I must admit I graduated on a 8th grade level. You might kind of notice that in the way I represent my truths.
That's right, baby.
Language-wise. But Black History Month was a week back then. I only found interest in studying that little bit called Black History, mainly a black woman whose name was Harriet Tubman. But it was a week. It was over. And then back to Macbeth, Hamlet, the Greek gods. I wasn't interested in that. But once I did graduate from high school, and about a year later, in 1974, almost a year later, I came into contact with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I found this book, which is such an easy read. I mean, it just connected with my DNA. Black people, I want you to hear me. It's a simple truth that connects to your DNA if you let it in.
That's right.
And ever since then, I've been a Muslim follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for 48
That's right.
years. And I would not go anywhere else. That's why we're representing this timeline of the original man. We want to share these truths with
So
you.
beautiful, so beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. Come on,
So-
baby.
so
Please read.
Okay, it goes on to say, it says, this is the final part of my interview with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on October 9th, 2005
Okay.
in Phoenix, Arizona. This interview grew out of my desire to share with others his and my response to this question. Who and with what power motivates Minister Farrakhan in his call for the Millions More movement?
Okay, see, he's being guided. See, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is not a self-guided man.
That's right.
He's completely guided by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In fact, what year was that? The Millions More?
2005.
2005, but in 1985, he had his more than a vision-like experience where he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the wheel. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been revealing things to him ever since on what to do, how to do, and where to go.
That's right.
He's a spiritually guided man directly by Allah and his Christ.
That's right.
So much to talk
So
about.
beautiful.
Please, come on, baby.
There is the most intimate and profound relationship
Intimate and profound
between the
relationship.
love, wisdom, and the power in the experience that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared with his teacher,
Wow.
Master Fard Muhammad.
And brothers, I want you to take that word and look it up. Intimate. Most intimate relationship. Could this be why we are having a problem connecting to God as men? Could this be why we are having a problem finding a good wife? Because we lack intimacy when it comes to the God who created the universe from nothing, who is present amongst us today in the person of Allah, who came in the person of Master Muhammad, his Christ, and now our beloved brother and friend, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Please.
There is the most intimate and profound relationship
Yes.
between the love, wisdom, and the power and the experience that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shares with his teacher,
Yes.
Master Fard
Master
Muhammad.
Fard Muhammad.
Prior to 1975 and Minister Farrakhan's call for the Millions More movement. The power in the minister's call is due to the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been raised to the position of the greatest eminence and influence to which a servant of God could be raised.
Yes.
Again, there is the deepest connection between the authority of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the rise of Minister Farrakhan.
Okay.
The public will soon come to see Allah's reasons for Minister Farrakhan's rise
Yes.
to ever greater degrees of eminence,
Yes.
right in the midst of the enemies of freedom, justice, and equality.
He's called the criteria,
That's right.
a standard.
They will come to see his rise as a manifest sign of the eminence or glory to which God desires to raise his people.
His people.
Here is the conclusion of the short and I hope interesting interview I conducted with Minister Farrakhan for the purpose of showing what sits under and energize Minister Farrakhan's call for the Millions More movement.
Come on, come on, come
and
on.
which will continue to energize and invigorate that movement until it accomplishes its objective and beyond.
Yes.
Okay, it says, Minister Farrakhan, so the God wisely chose a people that were empty vessels.
Empty vessels. I mean, they did. What you mean by empty vessels? Well, they took everything from us.
That's right.
I mean, everybody want to talk about 1619. I'm sorry, the first slaves came over here in the year 1555. There's a 64-year void where they were making a slave and destroying the fathers and the mothers of those so they could not teach their children how to pray. Sound like what Yaqub was doing with picking the brain
That's right.
of the original babies so that he can only have brown to make his man.
That's right.
They don't change. They have no new tricks.
So Minister Farrakhan said, he didn't have to empty us. We didn't have anything of wisdom in us.
In us.
Then he begins pouring into us that truth that embodies in the idea of the new.
Yes.
The idea of the new heaven and the new earth that is embodied in our lessons. Over time, the dissatisfied will come to the truth, put in a form that appeals to their childlike minds.
Put in a form that appeals to their childlike minds. I mean, I just read to you.
Yes.
Message to the Black Man. It's an easy read. It's a book that was written by a man with a 3rd or 4th grade education.
Right.
Because that's what God, he wanted to make this truth so plain, as it says, that a child could understand it. And by the way, our YouTube camera will be going off in about 2 minutes, but we're going to continue with our live Facebook interview. Please.
Okay, he says, but as they mature and grow, the idea would grow in them.
In them.
It's in their DNA.
Wow.
In every generation, getting them closer and closer to what the God envisioned.
Yes.
A nation of God.
A nation of God.
That's right, that's right.
Wow. Go on.
And it's like what you just said from what the minister's dealing with right here. He says, over time, the dissatisfied will come to the truth, put in a form that appeals to their childlike minds.
Yes.
And as you said, that's what Message to the Black Man is when you read that book.
A very simple read.
That's right.
Go on.
As you bore witness of your educational level,
Yes.
how the world's schooling that they gave us, all of that history of Caucasian,
Yes.
all of that didn't appeal to your nature.
It did not.
But this appeals to your nature.
This appeals to my
appeals to
nature.
your nature. And I tell you, I can bear witness that my husband, he is a serious study of the word, and I just thank Allah for that,
All
So
praise
yes,
belongs to Allah. So Allah preserve. And that's what you you need to look in the mirror, ask yourself, are you one of the ones that Allah has preserved for